G'day everyone, you're here with Bo and welcome to my detailed review of Walton. In this video, we're going to be having a look at the Walton Chain platform. We're going to have a look at the team, the token, the vision, and how they're going to implement their strategy and objectives. As part of this review and analysis, we're going to be doing something called SWOT, where we look at the strengths, the weaknesses, the opportunities, and the threats facing Walton. So stick around, I hope you enjoy, and let's get into it. Okay, so first up, what is Walton and what is it all about? Well, Walton is a Chinese-based cryptocurrency and blockchain company looking to revolutionize the supply chain and asset management industries using the RFID technology combined with the blockchain. So using RFID technology, Walton want to be able to track items as they move through the supply chain with the data being stored on the public Walton blockchain. Now, Walton are currently developing their own proprietary RFID technology to be able to be more superior than what is currently out there on the market at the moment. What Walton's ultimate objective is to be a main blockchain, allowing subchains to be built off that chain. This will essentially make Walton a master blockchain or a building platform ecosystem for other subchains to be built off. Now, you may be wondering what Walton actually stands for. Well, Walton is a homage to Charles Walton, who was the inventor of RFID technology. For those of you who don't know, RFID technology stands for Radio Frequency Identification Device, and they're used all around the world. A good example is the chip on your credit cards or your debit cards, which you can use to wirelessly pay for goods and services. Now, using this RFID technology, Walton essentially want to set up a supply chain tracking system using the blockchain instead of centralized databases. Now, what are some of the strengths of Walton? Well, basically, Walton wants to be a platform allowing other chains to be built off their main chain. A good analogy to what Walton is trying to do would be to compare it to something similar like Ethereum, where Ethereum is a platform allowing other decentralized applications to be built off it, or Neo, which is much the same. Now, Walton is a completely different concept, but they are trying to be a platform from which other things can be built off. Now, what they want to do is create a proof of stake trust system, which is basically an improved POS system allowing token holders to earn dividends by storing those tokens in a wallet. Now, Walton are targeting a real world problem. At the moment in supply chain logistics, much of the data passes through a single central database. Now, theoretically, that database could be open to manipulation and it generally lacks transparency. The great thing about public blockchains is every transaction is recorded on a public ledger, which can be verified by basically anyone by looking up that transaction ID and verifying that that transaction has actually taken place. So using that RFID technology, they will basically be able to ensure that goods have moved through the supply chain and reached point B from point A, and anyone in the supply system will be able to verify that transaction. Now, Walton have also formed a number of quite strategic partnerships and agreements with various other companies and universities. So let's dig a little bit deeper and see what we can find. Now, the first one here is the Walton Chain project team and South Korea University of Engineering Department have reached a cooperation. Now, apologies, all of these articles are in Chinese and have been translated to English, so they're not all perfect, so please bear with me. Now, South Korea's University of Engineering is actually the #2 university in South Korea for engineering. It's also ranked in the top 100 universities in the world. The partnership seems to be something to do with the sharing of knowledge and resources for Walton Chain's R&D. Now, next here we have the Walton project team partnering up and sponsoring the South Korea Internet of Things Innovation Center. Now, the South Korean Innovation Center seems to be centered around the Internet of Things and establishing research and development around improving the internet and things like security, IP, domain registries, and general technology research and development. So it looks like Walton in Korea sponsoring this Internet of Things Innovation Center is all about joint development and cooperation between the two organizations in the internet field. Now, here we have Walton Chain and Babbitt reaching a strategic cooperation to promote the application of the Internet of Things technology. Now, I'm not sure if Babbitt is the actual real translation because I searched for the website and I couldn't actually find it. Now, it looks like another strategic partnership where they're going to be sharing resources, knowledge to further help their R&D. Now, here is another strategic cooperation between Walton Chain and a company looking at unmanned stores in China. Now this one's interesting because they're basically looking at using RFID in unmanned stores, allowing people to go in and purchase goods without there having to be any clerks or any people there actually servicing the customer. I guess a good thing to compare it to would be Amazon, and how Amazon are looking at doing this as well. So quite interesting to see that Walton is actually branching into different kind of industries so early on in their development phase. Now here we have another strategic cooperation with Walton and an apparel copyright trading centre. Now it essentially says here that there's two sides to this agreement. One is to accept the national strategic areas, assume corporate social responsibility, promote the development of China's value networking. The second is to reach the development of both demands, bigger business scale, third from the technology market, build value of things, networking industry alliance, lead a number of internet things, SME partners, the formation of a new generation of value networking intelligent business ecosystem. I guess trying to get through the bad translation, it seems like another sort of knowledge sharing, resource sharing type of cooperation that's going to help Walton in the long run, and also help this copyright trading centre maybe to perhaps refine their processes and systems as the Walton chain technology starts to get better and starts to be uptaken more in the China and Asian markets. Now here we have quite an interesting one. This one's the Walton Chain project team officially signed for a development zone air purifier project. Now this project is a Sino-Korean joint venture which will include Chinese and South Koreans working together on research and development. So the Walton Chain technology is intended to be deployed in this air purifier project at a later stage as the project develops. Now we have another agreement here. Walton Chain project team signed project cooperation agreement with the China Panther Logistics Park. Now this seems to be another type of knowledge sharing type of agreement to basically help each party with their R&D. Now it's probably, from Walton's point of view, a good way to make connections in the industry as they get ready to actually deploy their technology. Now another strength is Walton Chain are actually developing their own proprietary RFID chip to be used in their blockchain system. Now I see this as kind of being a double-edged sword. It could work out really well for them if they can design it in a way that actually will end up lowering production costs, which will actually save them money in the long run. It could also be a negative where if they spend too much time and resources in research and development, it could take them a lot of time to actually recoup those costs. Now another strength is the way they've actually designed or are designing the main Walton blockchain. They're actually designing the chain to be mass scalable from the very beginning. So as new ecosystems come in and as new companies want to have their own subchains off the Walton main chain, they've basically designed it in a way that it can handle a lot of subchains. In fact, they actually say here that theoretically there can be an infinite number of subchains. Now I don't normally do this, but I'm actually including the entire team as a huge strength in this SWOT analysis. Now I'll be perfectly honest, I'm absolutely blown away by the credentials of the Walton team. Okay, so we're just going to go through a summary of the qualifications of Walton Chain's core team. Now that's not their advisors, nor is it the investors, just the core team. Okay, so we have 1 professor, 2 PhDs, 3 doctors in engineering, 5 masters of engineering, 2 masters in business. Now just a couple of standouts from some of the team and where they've actually worked. We've got Honeywell, Samsung, Google, Qualcomm, Nokia, Microsoft, and between this team they either own or have filed for a total of 101 patents. Wow, this team is on another level. So needless to say, I'm absolutely blown away by this team. They are superstar, all-star, unbelievable achievements. Okay, now on to the weaknesses. Now this could be seen as subjective, but it does kind of seem to me from my research that they are at the moment mainly focused on Asian markets. The product is actually also still in development, so the Walton chain is still being designed. The actual wallet to hold the Walton coins hasn't been released yet. However, it does look like it's being released at the end of this month. Now, it has actually been identified as well that there's a bit of a communication issues and there's perhaps not a lot of people that are fluent in the English language from the Chinese team. Now, obviously this wouldn't really be a problem, but it does look like that people have actually at one point thought that Walton chain was a fake. So unfortunately, Walton chain have actually had to come out and prove themselves that they are real purely because of that bad communication breakdown. Now, they do also have a pretty long roadmap. Now, obviously, a few years' time in a normal scheme of things is nothing, but as everyone knows in cryptocurrencies, a few years is an eternity. Okay, so weaknesses are done. Let's go and check out some opportunities. Now the first opportunity is for Walton Chain to be able to penetrate some of the enormous supply chain management and procurement software market. We have an article here that says these markets were worth a total of $9.9 billion in 2014. I think it's safe to assume that they've probably grown quite a bit in the last few years, so it would likely be a lot higher than that as of now. Because Walton Chain are also designing their own RFID chip, they perhaps could take even theoretically some of the market share from the total RFID market, which was worth $11.2 billion as of this year. Another opportunity would be for them to be the first successful RFID blockchain supply management company. And another opportunity is just the continual growth as more and more side chains and more companies use those side chains off the main chain, which will just grow that whole ecosystem. Again, similar to how the Enterprise Ethereum Alliance and the decentralized applications are building Ethereum up to be an absolutely enormous beast. Okay, opportunities out of the way, let's go check out the threats. Now, interestingly, there are actually other companies working in this space at the moment, such as Microsoft and IBM. Now, they are actually looking at different applications to use the blockchain in a supply chain type of context. Now, IBM have looked at creating a digital distributed ledger to create a place to basically store electronic documents related to how a shipment could be housed. So another company called T-Mining are basically looking at using blockchain to give clearance for personnel to pick up a load. So you can see here that there's been people fraudulently providing information such as insurance documents and picking up loads that they're actually not supposed to pick up. So basically stealing the load. Now, IBM are actually looking at blockchain supply chain type solutions for the food industry. So IBM are collaborating with other producers and distributors to try and reduce contamination in the global food supply chain. Now, even though these aren't really related to Walton, it still shows that other companies or corporations are actually actively developing blockchain technology around these similar type of supply chain industries. Now, Walton actually does face direct competition from a Finnish company called Kuvola Innovation. Now, Kuvola Innovation have been running trials using RFID and blockchain technology on shipping containers. The project is called SmartLog. So it's basically a proof of concept using RFID, the Internet of Things, and blockchain. The interesting thing is it is directly in the logistics industry and the supply chain industry, which is also what Walton is looking to do. Now, a little bit of background about Kuvola Innovation. They were awarded a grant from the European Union's Interreg Baltic Sea program. So they basically got a couple of million euros to develop this platform, and they're basically going to be working in Finland, Sweden, Estonia, and Latvia. You know, I think at the end of the day, we're so early in the development, I personally believe that there will be room for multiple different kinds of companies in different asset classes with blockchain in the future. The world is just too big, countries are too diverse, and laws and regulations are just too different for any one company to ever control the total market. Okay, with the SWOT out of the way, let's check out the token. Now, the token is called the Walton coin, and there is a maximum supply of 100 million Walton coins. There will never be any more created, so that really is the total max supply. Now, the Walton coin at the moment is an Ethereum-based ERC20 token. However, once the self-developed public blockchain is completed, then you will be able to do a one-to-one swap with your Walton coin for their native coin. Okay, so let's explore some of the use cases of the Walton coin. Now, the Walton coin will be used to issue subchains by other users. As we discussed earlier, holders of the Walton coin will actually receive a dividend. The coin will also be used in a voting and a governance system. Now, it looks like there's also going to be a decentralized exchange. Now, the decentralized exchange will be used to trade those Walton coins for other tokens that are derived from the subchains off the main Walton chain. I think this will be a fair bit down the track because they've obviously got to get their main chain established first, but interesting to know that this is on the cards. So guys, that's it from me. I really hope you enjoyed this video. There is so much more to Walton that I didn't cover. There was just too much to fit into one video. Personally, I'm blown away by Walton and I'm quite impressed with the platform. As always guys, every single link covered in these videos is in the description. If you liked the video, please give it a like. Feel free to subscribe. I'm on Twitter. You can find that in the description as well. I'm Bo, and I'll see you in the next video. Cheers.